time to talk about our favourite lady, your favourite lady.
Yeah.
Pauline Hanson.
Your mistress.
As we know, the WA state election is on this Saturday, and so Pauline's been hitting the airwaves. She had a nice chat with Barrie Cassidy on Insiders, and we'll show you a little clip now of what she had to say about Vladimir Putin and vaccination.
I listened to a speech that he gave in Parliament, and even the people here in Australia were saying, I wish we had a leader like that here. I wish someone would actually stand up and fight for this country, and that's what the people expect. Do I... I think he's a strong man, and I think what I was reading, about 97% of people in this country respect him as a leader for their nation.
You certainly said there could be a link with autism, and you said that you would think very carefully about it.
Yes, that's exactly right, because what I've heard from parents and their concerns about it, and what I have said is, I advise parents to go out and do their own research with regards to this.
So, Nick, what do you reckon? Do you think that Australians want a strong leader like Vladimir Putin?
I don't know if they want one like Vladimir Putin, really. I'm not sure. I always find it very strange when I can see why Hanson's attracted to these strong sort of people.
Oh, have you seen the guy's chest? He's... I saw him riding on that horse that time. True. He's just amazing.
He's a hottie,
Go on.
You find him a bit of a hottie.
He is. I mean, the guy's what, 60 what, something? He's pretty well built for that age. Good on you, Vlad.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's true. Look, I don't know. I think it's really an extension of her kind of Trump fetish that she has, and she just ran her mouth off for that whole interview. There was like, I think, I was watching the stories tick up that day. There was probably like 10 stories that came out of it. I found the vaccine kind of more interesting in a way, because it struck me as one of those times where Hanson says something that she's heard from like these chemtrail nuts that vote for her and that probably come and talk to her while she's, out on the hustings or whatever. And then she just spits it back out later with her usual kind of like total, she just doesn't seem willing at all, for somebody that likes strong leaders. She doesn't seem very interested in making calls herself. She just regurgitates. She goes, yeah, well, vaccinations are probably bad too, and everyone should have the right to choose. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, there's a public health issue there, and the cost that might arise from a decision like that from anybody. But I sort of thought the same thing when I went to the doctor for my little girl, and they brought out the vaccinations, and I felt conflicted. Like, do I have to do this? Why do I?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I know. Look, I understand, but still, there's an essence of unpredictability there. You don't know what's actually going in. You do, but you sort of I have this mistrust of the establishment as it is, and I'm thinking, well, is this A-okay? But at the same time, you have to understand the public health implications involved.
And the massive, like, why is every kind of scientific argument that's made in favour of vaccines, and I get it, I think my own mum even said something like, it was a bit of a slightly distressing when, you take your pure little baby into the doctor and now they're going to get shot with some stuff. Like, I get it, there's an emotional kind of thing there. But why does everyone, every time like a scientist or like a doctor who's speaking from a fairly neutral kind of position, and just saying, look, the hard facts are these, people like her jump out and go, bullshit!
And that's what she's done on climate change as well. And you hear it from, what's his name, Senator Malcolm Roberts, who's a big climate denier. The one thing I thought which is really interesting about this whole interview with Barrie Cassidy was it just shows how much of a walking contradiction she really is. Because on the one hand, she says Australians want a really strong leader like Vladimir Putin, but as we all know, he's basically an authoritarian.
That's a swipe of Turnbull.
He's a dictator, effectively, right? And then she says, literally within the next couple of minutes, it's really unfair, the no jab, no pay policy, because essentially she says something like parents are being blackmailed, and this is what happens in a dictatorship. And it's like, but you want the dictator.
I know.
So
I know.
What are you complaining about? I just think, give her more airtime, because the contradictions can only be a good thing.
Yeah, it's just getting the thing with her. There's a few things Hanson always says. She always says something like, "The people are going to decide this." She loves to just sort of point out that everybody gets to vote.
Pack,
She always does that. And the other thing that she always says is, "Look, I've been in this business for 20 years, Okay? And every time she
Why
says
did you do that with your eyes then? What was that
just-
all
It's quite a
about?
bit of
I'm trying to imagine what it's like to have fucking rocks in my head, you know? And like, every time she brings up her 20 years experience, I go, how have you not improved at this yet? If she,
Yeah, but have you ever thought that someone, like she's actually, there might be a general consensus out there amongst the people that she's speaking to that this is a concern to them? You know, I mean, just because we don't think that way, or the majority of people that we know don't think that way, doesn't mean that there aren't people out there who think this way.
Okay, fine, but I think if I was in Hanson's position, you know, and maybe one day I will rise up and lead a rabble of psychotic rednecks.
We can see that really happening.
It could happen.
Could happen.
I really feel it's like one of those times where if she decided to make a call, decided to get educated about it, decided to like sit down and go, okay, that's not really true, well then she could actually influence their opinions in a different way. But she doesn't. She regurgitates their fears because that's what she does. She just likes to build on fear
Maybe she
and
doesn't.
outrage.
Maybe that's what she believes in, man. I mean, it doesn't. Maybe there isn't an agenda behind. Well, every politician has an agenda, okay? But I mean, I actually think it's refreshing that someone's coming out and saying some crazy shit from time to time. You know, it gives us a chance to sit there, have a bit of a laugh about it. You know, but then it makes you think, regardless of how stupid of what she's saying. You know, it makes you think, and it's sort of like there's always like these days. I seem to witness everybody in the media going one way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's no one actually providing this alternative point of view. And she's doing that, whether it's right or not. I think I have more of a problem with what Ross Cameron said on Sky News about vaccinations and what. Let me just say, he goes, I'm happy for that, but I just don't think we know. Basically, we're at our infancy of our understanding of the human body. Then he goes on to say...
No, the human genome.
Yeah, the human genome, And then he goes on to say, well, I believe that autism is linked to vaccinations. I mean, you've just said we don't know, right?
Well, he actually started that with a phrase that's right up there with "I'm not racist, but," which is "I'm no expert, but."
Let me give you my opinion.
It's the same thing.
It is.
Yeah. But honestly, the research that I've read is sort of aligned autism with the rise in technology. And I can't believe that no one has actually brought that up. I think that's more of a valid issue and a bigger talking point than what they're talking about now.
And I think you get the same thing, just quickly, I think you get the same thing with, there's a lot more documented cases of depression, various sorts of mental illness and stuff like that. These are things that simply weren't recognised before. Now they are.
Yeah.
And maybe some doctors are too quick to say you've got this, but that's why you get more of it. You know?
Yeah.
Well, thanks to Pauline, we get to talk about all these
Love you,
very
baby.
interesting issues.
You're
So
the
we'll
best.
wait until the next time she says something particularly controversial.